Daily Broadside, day 824. You remember, if you were anything like me, one of your greatest fears as a child was coming up in school, especially the elementary years, and you would just fear throwing up, in the lunchroom, in class, whatever, because vomiting is not a. It's hard to be good looking. Christy Brinkley probably looks not that attractive when she vomits into a toilet, much less vomiting in the middle of a floor in a classroom full of, second graders. I just couldn't imagine. And, you would see people do this throughout the year. Unfortunately, I arrived at my 12th grade year completely unscathed from that. I'm not a big vomiter anyway. But you'd have to call in the janitor, and he'd get that like vomit sawdust that he'd put down to kind of absorb it all, and then you could just sweep it into a dustpan. I don't know what they did, but people would routinely vomit in school, and it had to be worse. But that's just in a class of 20 kids, right? That are not going to remember it in 4 years, or maybe they will. Maybe they'll always call you, barfer or whatever corny name they come up with. But to be like courtside at an NBA game and vomit, not only the way, but in the amount that Tracy Morgan did, I think last night that's other level. I mean, other than like Bush throwing up on like that Japanese prime minister and whoever he did back in the day, like there's not a lot. Was that Bush? Yeah, it was Bush. It was Herbert Walker Bush. You can count on very few fingers how many people have thrown up that are famous. I mean, obviously there's drunk videos of people all over the place throwing up, but people that we know where they've thrown up in masses of people. Tracy might have the record, other than Herbert Walker being that on TV, but so was Tracy. So I'm just saying, it's I guess I wish him well. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he sure didn't look good. Could you imagine just being rolled out? Like, that's just got to be the most embarrassing thing ever. Probably not ever, but it's up there, right? And in light of my Duke Blue Devils getting a number 1 seed, I think they should have been the overall, especially since we beat Auburn early in the season. I just want to say that it occurred to me the other day when I was watching them coming off the bus, the ACC tournament. It's like, these kids in college, right? College athletes, student athletes, as they're called. They wear nothing. Like, you don't ever see them in anything except the apparel that the university gives them. At least the elite universities, for sure. Like Duke players, is all you ever see. They're going to wear white, gray, blue, or black. I mean, there's the only colors you ever see them in. They'll have a million different hoodies and shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, turtlenecks, all kinds of dumb crap. Ball caps, socks, shoes, everything is Duke Blue Devil. But as soon as they graduate, 4-year letter starter, it doesn't matter. Or if they're a one and done, you never see them repping, as it were, their college or university ever again. It's kind of strange when you think about it. You imagine wearing something just your entire life in college, and then what do they do with all that stuff? They got to have a damn closet full of it. You just box it up, throw it in the attic because you're never going to wear it again. That make a lot of sense. And every time I hear a commercial on the TV about, some kind of gambling, what do you call it, where you scratch and sniff the tickets and all that crap that you buy at the lotto, all that, the Mega Millions, whatever. There's always that, thing at the end where it's like a gambling hotline. If you're having problems, 1-800-623, whatever, and they give you that gambling hotline. And I thought to myself, like, how much work is a gambling hotline person really doing in a week? How many people are really calling that in and being like, I've got some issues. I just wanted to put a parlay down just now, and that's the 9th one I've done this morning, and I got to get help. And I mean, seriously, like, first of all, how many people do you staff for that? Because how do you estimate when they start that? Like, we're going to need 17 phone answerers for this because we're going to have an influx of people needing to, like, adjudicate the problems in their gambling mind. Or do you just be like, we'll just start with 2 and we'll see where it goes from there? And then you're like, we're going to need to downsize. 2's too many. Because, I mean, really, like, you've got to, like, those dudes have got to spend more time screwing around on the internet or their phones or playing Sudoku than any other job in North America. Because how many people could possibly be? I mean, I don't know how many people are in this damn state, but let's just say there's, 50 million people in North Carolina. It may be that high. I doubt it, but it's probably like 30. But at any rate, let's just say there's a million people in the state. How many people gamble of that million? I don't know, like 25%. And of the 25%, how many have a gambling problem? I don't know, like 25%. But the point is, if just because you got a problem, you got to recognize it. And you got to get up the gumption to call the damn hotline and try to fix the problem and get some help. I don't think that's a very high percentage. So, like, this is, you just clock in and then you just do nothing the rest of the time. And although when I turned 16, I, had a government ID, and I was not able to get a hotel room with girls that I was seeing. I knew that. I tried. It wouldn't work. You had to have a credit card and be 18 at the time. But what I could do, because you're really classy when you're 16, is you could rent a shower at the TA truck stop. That's right. It was like $8 or something like that. And they would rent it to you. All you had an ID. They didn't give a crap if you were 16, And they would just rent you a shower. And it was pretty cool, At the time, they gave you a towel. You didn't have, like, you get a towel for like $2. Looking back, I did some dumb things as a kid. I wouldn't use that towel today if you paid me. Like, but then again, I use them in hotels. I mean, how much worse could it? Is a trucker really any worse than anybody stays in a hotel? I don't know. Trucker wiping his ass with that towel. That dude's been sitting on his ass for, 14 hours. Maybe I should rethink this. But here's the thing, right? In light of the stupid things you do as a kid, like renting a shower at a truck stop to be with your girlfriend because you're too young to see, I just look at that as thinking outside the box, right? That was young me problem solving. But here's an example of how stupid you are as a kid. This is why you shouldn't be able to get tattoos when you're 14. You shouldn't be able to make like gender decisions when you're 9. Like this is how dumb you are. I'm going to give you an example of 2 things that I did or almost did as a child. And I say child, somebody under 20 years old. That would have really changed my life's trajectory. Number one is, I remember when I was about probably 11 or 12, I'm at my buddy's house, 2 doors down. He was 2 years younger than me, big hunter. And he was out in the backyard, and he'd just gotten a compound bow, and he was shooting it into, one of those little bags that you shoot at. And he's target practicing. And I'm like, how does this thing work? And all this. He's, you got this little thing you attach and you pull it back and it's real heavy. And I remember I tried pulling it back and it took a lot of strength. He was a much bigger kid than me. And I don't think I could barely pull it back. And then I watched him hit that. And I remember thinking, and we talked about it like we were going to do it. I was like, I think I could stand in front of that bag and move out of the way before that thing hit me. What? I don't know how fast, bolts or arrows come off of a compound bow. I know it's probably not anywhere close to like a 9mm, but it's way faster than I could have gotten out of the damn. I'd have been so dead. And I was seriously thinking about doing this. The second thing is, I was after my freshman year of college, I worked for the state DOT doing traffic surveys. And we were sitting there one day and I was talking to my buddy in the middle of the lane, and we're stopping traffic, asking people what they were doing, where they're coming from, and counting axles on vehicles so they could put in new highways and all that stuff, making $7.25 an hour. And I remember this semi truck rolled up, full 53-foot truck. And, our feet are just right. We're standing on the middle lane, the line in the middle of the road. And I remember looking at him, I'm like, you'd think that would crush our foot? Like if it just rolled over it real fast, it wouldn't do, I had no concept of how heavy 80,000 pounds is. My foot would have been a bag of Jello. And I was contemplating like, it couldn't be that bad. Like maybe I'm a little dumb. I'm a pretty dumb, smart guy, and I can be a smart, dumb guy sometimes. But I'm really just a dumb, smart guy sometimes. But those are the kind of stupid-ass decisions that you maybe don't go through with, but you contemplate as a feasible alternative to a life decision. And this is why you shouldn't be allowed to do certain things until you're at least like 35. When you somehow wake up one day and you've, transversed the world into some kind of cogent thought. That's all I have, Giddy.